Hi, I am Gene, and you are watching Hearts of Wulin on Gauntlet Con. Um, Hearts of Wulin is a PBTA game written by Lowell Francis and Agatha Chang, and I'm joined by four excellent players, some that I've played with before and didn't realize it. So we're going to go right to left on my screen. That's Peter, Jennifer, Phil, and then Brian. So Pete, why don't you go first? Introduce yourself and your character, please.
Sure thing. I'm Peter. I use he, him pronouns, and tonight I'm playing Dawson Freed. He is the aware master role with the Razors faction. Basically uses the style known as smoke in the bottle. He's your basically, if you could fit a Shaolin master into a cowboy archetype, he's just the sort of relaxed, no nonsense type guy who is usually aware of people's true intentions. He's only got one weak spot, but it sounds like that weak spot is going to be really coming on strong. He's got he wears a trench coat and everything. His element is water. His weapon is ropes in the form of a lasso. Should I go over my entanglements?
Yeah, briefly.
Okay. So, brief version. I love Doc Jonah, who I overlooked for too long. Now they love Lily McFadden. And my friend Terrence Hill suspects Caleb Freed of evil, but I remain steadfastly loyal. And those names will mean things very soon.
Okay, great. So Pete kind of came in late in the character creation, so I think that was the first time we heard the entire abstract on your character, Mr. Freed. Okay, so the next person will be Jen. Introduce yourself and your character, and I think we're going to concentrate on entanglements for everyone from here on out.
I'm Jennifer, she, her pronouns, and I will be playing Amy Quackenbush, a mysterious woman on a even more mysterious mission of revenge against someone who killed her husband 5 years ago, or had her husband killed 5 years ago. And she is in love with Doc Jonah, but she knows a dark secret about Lily McFadden, who he adores.
Okay, cool. So Phil, you're next.
Sure. My name's Philip. I use he, him. I am playing Terrence Hill. Terrence Hill is a mid-40s Canadian that has been wandering around. He was an observer during the Civil War. He tends to get involved with situations. He tends to fight on the side of the underdog. But he's gotten himself into some pesky situations in the past. From an entanglements perspective, he did take part in a crime against Caleb Freed, my friend Dawson Freed's sibling. And my friend Doc Jonah and I vie for the attention of Lily McFadden, despite their indifference to both of us.
Nice. Brian, please introduce your character. Yourself and your character. Thanks.
I'm Brian. I use he, him pronouns. I'm playing Doc Jonah, who's a Bravo Gallivant who specializes in using sharp metal playing cards, as well as normal playing cards for normal gambling purposes. My entanglements are my friend Terrence Hill and I vie for the attention of Lily McFadden, despite their indifference to both of us. And my Red Aces mentor, Jessica Nichols, suspects my friend Amy Quackenbush works against our faction. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so those are our four players and our four characters. I haven't mentioned this, but this is a reskin of Hearts of Wulin, which is normally a wuxia game. We are reskinning it to do a spaghetti western, and A little backstory. This is mostly just a dare. I had this discussion with Lowell, and I said that Hearts of Wulin could do all types of these kind of games, and basically we're proving that right now. So we're going to start with our characters. The background is that 5 years ago, all 4 of these characters were in a town called Penance in the New Mexico territory following the Civil War. They all met there. They all had relationships with each other of varying qualities. They also had relationships with both the sheriff of the town and a leading figure in the town. The sheriff was named Sheriff Spencer McFadden. He was generally regarded as a good sheriff. He was well liked, but there were some question marks about the sheriff. How did he become sheriff? Some people said that he was formerly an outlaw and had amassed a huge fortune, and he was basically hiding out in New Mexico, sitting on that pile of cash. The sheriff is shot. Jasper McGillicuddy, who was a leader of a group of cowboys called the Pistoleros. Some say the Pistoleros were involved in more than just ranching and cattle. Some said they were rustlers. Some say they smuggled horses and goods to Mexico in the south. No one could prove anything. For years, at least the last 5 years, there's been an uneasy truce, but a working truce between the Pistoleros and at least the sheriff. But something must have changed. They say that the sheriff shot Jasper, and Jasper's guns were still in his holsters. The news traveled fairly far, at least as far as Texas, and right now the characters are headed to Penance, New Mexico. The surest way in is by train. The train leaves Lubbock, Texas, which is in West Texas, heading west across the territorial border, but ends at least 30 miles away from Penance. The train has not quite reached that town yet. From there, it cuts north to Santa Fe, which is many hours away. But we'll talk about the train right now. Of the 4 of you, are all 4 of you on the train? Who is and who isn't on the train?
I think Terrence would definitely be on the train.
Okay. So your horse is in the horse car.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd be on the train too.
Okay. What about Dawson and Amy?
I think I could be on the train.
Okay.
Just to complicate things, Dawson is not on the train.
Okay. That works too. We'll get to Dawson in a moment. Are any of you, now that we know who's on the train, everyone except for Dawson, are any of you traveling together? Some of you already have relationships. So do you think you're traveling together? Or do you think you even noticed each other? We'll say the train is big enough to have multiple cars and multiple baggage and or cargo. So it's pulling passengers and cargo. So it's quite possible that if you want to not see each other on the train, you can do it. But it's also possible that you want to do that. So
I think
go
I
ahead.
think potentially Doc and Terrence might have stumbled across each other in the bar car. I don't know if that's something that if Doc imbibes, and if so, be willing to spittle a bottle of whiskey and make the train go faster.
Yeah, I think that would definitely be someplace you would find Doc. Especially since drinking people are the best people to play cards with.
Okay, so do you think Doc has already started a card game? It's a 4-hour ride from Lubbock to Penance, or near Penance.
Oh, Doc would definitely have started up a.
Okay. Is he playing to win, or is he playing to kill time, or?
I'd say unless he sees like someone he thinks would be a very good mark, he is mostly playing to pass the time and just get the feel for people he's playing with.
Okay. Let's talk about where Amy is. Is Amy anywhere near the bar car, or what do you think?
Yeah, she could be in there, just not part of that activity, but like lurking.
Okay. Um, it's a long trip, and these both Amy and the others are quite sharp individuals. They will have noticed each other if you're in the car, but
Yeah,
that's fine. They just have not had a conversation yet. Perhaps Doc is very much invested in this game, or as invested as he might be, but you just haven't had the chance to speak to each other, or maybe you're deciding how you would. We're going to talk a little bit too about Dawson. Is Dawson ahead of everyone? Is he already in town?
Yes.
Or actually, yeah. Keep in mind that the train station is outside of town. It doesn't quite reach town. So they're going to have to stop. There's no station. The train's going to make a special stop for them. They get off and they go by horse to Penance. But we're going to say Dawson's already in town.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. So we'll endeavor to get everyone to a place where you can play. In the meantime,
Then actually, I might edit it so that I am already waiting at the drop-off point.
or we can stop to pick you up.
That also works. Yes. I get picked up.
Okay, excellent. We will do that right now. So the train is moving along. Doc, I think you're steadily winning despite trying to give them trying to make this game last. Right? I think despite that you're still winning. I think the people on the train they might think they're pretty good, but you're just much better.
Only bring myself to play so far below. Yeah.
Okay.
Must.
Some of them are maybe getting a little upset, but the stakes are so low that that you don't suspect any trouble unless you raise the stakes.
Yeah. See here. Are any of them heading to the same place we're heading?
I think most of these people are actually going to Santa Fe. The stop that you are going to Penance is it like again there's no station. They're going to stop basically in the middle of the desert, and you guys are going to get out on your horses and ride. So, in fact, they say yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I feel like when we get like close enough that I'm thinking that it's like, well, I mean, it's going to end soon anyway. Might as well up the stakes now to make the last little bit as interesting as it can be.
Okay. Doc, have you seen this kind of Doc or Amy? Have you seen this kind of thing before from I'm sorry, not Doc, but Terrence and Amy? Have you seen this kind of thing before, where Doc is slowly, bleeding these guys of all their money?
And one thing that I am noticing right now is Doc is starting to cheat. However, he's not stupid, so he's cheating and he's making sure that I'm the one that's winning.
Oh, okay.
Knowing that the money, that I'll end up spending the money with him anyway. So I'm there trying not to smirk as I watch him dealing from the bottom of the deck, and I'm the one that seems to be getting some cards.
Right. I think you're gonna have to make a roll at this point. So Doc, under basic moves, you can do an overcome. You're not quite under huge pressure, but this is a good way to break in the basic moves. So when you do an overcome, you roll 2d6, and remember the roll for your party is where you do that roll. And we'll see how it turns out.
7.
What color are your dice?
Silver.
Okay. Oh, you're right in front of me. You're right in the middle. Okay, so is that your roll, a 7? Or was it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you look at the sheet under basic moves, when you do something under pressure, roll on a 10 plus, you do it on 7 and 9. There's a complication. So I think, yeah, you've done this many times. I think you've been in so many card games. I think though that I think that Terrence, you noticed that one of the other players, and we're playing with 2 other people, is 4 hands. One of the other players is also cheating. You see that they're this entire time they've probably been throwing the game a little bit, trying to get you to raise stakes. He looks you over. He's a tall northerner. He assesses you and he kind of shrugs and says, "Well, this is you're winning quite a bit of money. Maybe we should raise the ante."
Sounds good.
I don't know about that. I don't know. This is getting pretty rich.
Well, you have most of my money. I think I deserve a chance to win it back.
I don't know. All right. And I was trying to make eyes towards Doc and let him know that something is a little bit amiss.
Okay.
Cheat off.
Do you guys have a bond?
We do.
Okay.
Yes.
This might be something that you've done before, so I think you might have a signal that that I can't see Terrence as a professional gambler unless you do. I think this is just something he just does.
No, this is one of those where he gambles occasionally, and he's observed people cheating him in the past, so he sorts of knows what's going on, and he's seen Doc play with cards at night. He knows what he does, so it's just from observation, not from expertise.
All right. So Doc, are you gonna go along and raise the stakes?
I think yes.
Knowing that Terrence has kind of clued you in what's going down?
Yeah. So I think I'll be like, I get the idea that Terrence is like, oh, this is more, not such an easy play, but I'll continue to think that it's like, well, I'll still do it. I can do this.
Okay.
My first instinct was I probably shouldn't have clued him in, because now he's more inclined to actually want to cheat somebody that knows what they're doing.
Nope.
Okay. Well, we'll see how it rolls out. The door opens at the back of the car. You see the conductor coming through. The conductor kind of announces to everyone, we're going to be making a watering stop soon and bringing on a couple more passengers. So it'll be a chance for you to stretch out your feet, but we're going to be leaving right afterwards. The conductor kind of looks over at Amy, but moves on. He kind of frowns. He doesn't like the look of Amy for whatever reason. I think, Terrence, you noticed this, and you're in the middle of a card game, but Amy hasn't said much this entire trip to you or to anyone. Unless Amy changes that right now. What do you think?
She's a little concerned about the conductor giving her an eye. I don't know what that's about.
Well, what do you think it's about? Let's fill in some detail here. What might he be worried about?
I guess he might be part of whatever weird conspiracy is going on with the sheriff, and
Oh, so he might be in on it. He might be
yeah.
informing someone. Okay. Well, I think he pauses at the door. He is acting a little strange. I think both you and Terrence notice that he writes down something on his pad, and opens the far door and walks through it. You have like a couple minutes before the train stops. The gentleman across your way, we're going to call him Mr. Wright with a W, Wright. He looks at you and says, "Well, I want to stretch out, so maybe just do this last hand. How about all of your money for this diamond?" And he takes out a diamond, and it is quite large. Because I figure this diamond's worth more than your entire stack. If you want to look it over, feel free.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
Okay, so you take a look. You've seen diamonds before, obviously. It seems like you're a pretty high roller. This is a large uncut diamond. It's pretty hefty. You would say it's about the size of a large strawberry, uncut. So when it's cut down, it'll probably make several diamonds. You seem to remember that in Penance there were some diamond mines, or at least some diamond strikes there, but for whatever reason there was no rush on it. But this may or may not be coincidence. So yeah, I don't have the money to get that cut, and you have all my money now. What your entire, and you figure there's at least $150 on that table. All that money for that diamond. What do you say?
Sure.
All right, if Doc's in, I'm in.
Okay. So you're gonna agree to this. So it's just another chance to show off another move. Let's go to the basic moves again. And this is a duel. This is not a PC versus PC duel, but this is a straight up duel. When you fight against a worthy foe, you roll plus your style element. Your style element, if you recall, was metal, I believe.
Yep.
Okay. So I think in metal you have a plus two.
Yep.
So if you want to acquaint with yourselves with the possibilities on that, your foe is a worthy foe. So he is at your scale. On a 10 plus, you win the conflict, and you may mark XP if you show mercy or let them escape. You may declare shift in the fiction, or on a 7 to 9, something else happens. So, knowing that, are you guys down for this?
I am.
Okay. Now, Philip, Terrence can assist him by burning a bond.
Might as well. I will burn the bond.
It's a con game. Tell me how he assists them though.
What he does is he works very slowly and conspicuously with his hands. So when the cards come in, he kind of slaps the table a little bit. And he starts to fumble the cards. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to keep everybody at the table's eyes on his cards, rather than what Doc might potentially be doing on his side. Just want to keep eyes on him.
Right. Okay, so you reduce that bond by 1, so it's down to 0. There are chances to rebuild bonds as we go along. So you're not +3 on your roll. Brian, are you ready to do it?
Yep.
All right, let's see your results.
Mm-hmm.
All right, So you got a tune of 5. 7 plus 3 is a 10. So let's talk about that move again real quick. On a 10, you win the conflict and may mark XP if you show them mercy or let them escape. So you've won. You've taken that diamond. You also know they cheated. So he kind of looks you over and he definitely cheated the shit out of that card, that hand. He wanted to win. You both were doing every trick you could. But it was to the casual observer, it still looked totally clean. He kind of looks at you and is thinking about calling you a cheat, but he's probably not going to do it. But you could do anything you want. What do you think?
I'll slide him. You said what? There was like 150 on the table, so I'll slide him like $10, and said that was an enjoyable game. You need a little more practice, though.
He kind of looks you over, deciding whether it's worth it. He kind of nods and says, "Okay, I understand you boys aren't going all the way to Santa Fe, right?"
Nope, we're about to get off.
Well, it's a shame that I won't be getting a chance to win that back, but you never know. He stands up and he tips his hat, and he heads out of the carriage towards the back. The carriage stops. You know what? We will make this the stop to Penance. So it'll just be we'll get the 4 of you together. So the train stops to get water 30 miles out of Penance. This is your stop. The 3 of you need to depart, and at this point you have to talk to Amy unless you are being really impenetrable. You also see, looking out the window, that your old colleague Dawson is already there with his horse. Your horses are being led off the horse carriage, and we'll be there in a moment. But you're gathering your things and departing, or disembarking rather. What do you guys do?
I think that I grab Miss Quackenbush's luggage from the rack, and I just say, Miss Quackenbush, let me give you a hand with that.
Thank you.
And then start to head off the train.
Okay. Now, another thing that we should talk about in terms of basic moves and your entanglements. Something that's used almost all the time in this game is inner conflict. When you come, and this is under basic moves, when you come face to face with emotional turmoil and pressure from an entanglement or personal issue, stuff happens. Simply meeting someone from your entanglement sometimes triggers this move. It depends on the fiction.
This seems like a good opportunity.
It could be. It's up to you, but you'd have to work it into the fiction. But you definitely have an issue with Terrence.
I do.
So how do you react? Do you want to use that move?
I think I do.
Okay. So it's as I just described it. Roll 10 plus, and we'll talk about what happens.
Anything except my style. Oh, well, it's got to be fire.
Okay. And that is because it's your passion or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what your results are.
Oh dear.
Quacking dice. I think okay. So you rolled a 4. Why don't you read what happens on a 4?
Well, On a miss, mark XP, and the GM makes things much worse.
Okay. Well, you guys need to do a little fiction here. Obviously, I think Amy bristles when Terrence, helps her.
Yeah. It's like staring daggers into him.
And I kind of looked back and I said, it's Quackenbush. I'm just trying to give assist. Let me know if my help is not wanted. And the word wanted kind of comes off my lips, even though I'm not using it in any other horrible way. But you just hear wanted, 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 wanted.
Well, how does she react?
She very momentarily considers the ramifications of shooting a man on the train.
Who's also conductor of the train. Oh, no. I'm sorry, Terrence. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like her hand just kind of hovers near her holster for just a second longer than it should.
Do you think Terrence? Do you see what's going on, or?
I'm completely oblivious to the fact that she has any animosity towards me whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I think I saved this woman from a horrible life with a guy that was a terrible man.
Right. The truth is, you probably did.
Yeah.
That's quite true. Yeah. Interesting. So I think you continue to disembark, and and I get to make things much worse, right? So Amy, as you take your luggage down, you notice that it's been gone through. Someone has been through your luggage. You're not sure who. It could be one of these two gentlemen, or it could be someone else on the train. But things have definitely been shifted in your baggage.
Due to the nature of the current inter-conflict thing, I think she blames Terrence for this, obviously.
Obviously, because Terrence has something going on. So the three of you disembark roughly, even if you're not exactly on great terms. You do understand that you're on a trip together. Dawson Freed, who you haven't seen in 5 years, is waiting at the platform. The train starts to water and take on coal. It'll be departing very, very soon. Do any of you have any entanglements with Dawson?
I believe the only person who does is Terrence.
God, Terrence, you are a popular man today.
That's what happens when you're older. You just run across everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just happened to even out that way, where I've got entanglements with a few, but towards me, only one person's got to worry about that.
Okay. So I think you two see each other, and you obviously can't avoid each other, and it might be possible that Dawson is waited here knowing that you're coming. So this sounds to me like it's in a conflict for someone, and it's, again, fiction. Or you guys might want us to skip it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Actually, I'll take the inner conflict, because it's probably because I'm the one that thinks Caleb is a bad person.
Right.
And Dawson doesn't necessarily thinks his brother is fantastic.
Yeah.
So I guess that would be me, and it would be something other than my element. So I guess maybe reflection. I'm reflecting on the Freed family tree. So I'll throw that so I guess I'll throw metal out there.
Okay, and you're +0 at metal, but this is cool. I like it.
Yeah. So let me give this a roll. 7.
Okay, so on a straight 7, why don't you read off the move?
Sure. On a 7 to 9, you must either flee the scene or mark an element. On a miss, mark XP, and GMs make things much worse. What I'm basically going to do is, as soon as I see Dawson, I'm going to tip my hat. And I'm going to say, at least one of the freed boys is worth a damn. I got to go get my horse. And then I go and I walk over and I start to, after paying him a compliment and getting Amy's bag, I'm having a great day. I just wander and that's him, the best looking horse best looking horse back there. That one's mine.
So you fled, basically. Yep. Okay, so the three of you, this is the first time you've seen each other in 5 years. The remaining three.
Yeah. I think in response to Terrence, I just sort of raised an eyebrow, like, I wasn't gonna say anything, man. You're gonna do me dirty like that right off the bat? You get off the train, you're like, oh, dump on your brother, and I'm like, all right, that's how it's gonna be. Okay. And I think I get about like 5 seconds of like raised eyebrow before like I see Doc, and I'm like, it's nice to see you, Amy. And I just like can't think of anything to say to Doc at that moment because I'm just like, oh, I had something better prepared. And then I got that backhanded compliment thrown at me. So now I'm thrown off, and I'm just going to say hello to a person that I don't feel conflicted about at all.
All right.
Let's simplify things. Hello, Amy.
Amy, what do you have to say to Doc, knowing that you know a dark secret about Lily?
I nod at both of them, and when they say hello, and tip my hat.
So you pretty much are you ignoring them or not acknowledging them at all?
I acknowledge them with a nod and the tip of that.
Well, yes, but you don't small talk them. Basically, is what you're saying, or do you? Maybe you. What do you think?
How was the ride, Dawson?
Uneventful, but I got here in one piece, so I'm feeling pretty good about my odds going forward. Things can only get well, I hope they stay calm, but and I just kind of like look around at Amy, Doc, and then where Terrence went, and I'm just like, things could also get crazier, as they're liable to do.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we'll kind of move the scene along. You guys have introduced each other. It's definitely not everyone's on the same team yet, but you have at least an hour and a half of a ride before you reach town. So we're going to move forward and get you to town. I'm going to ask you a couple questions about the town. You guys are going to all stay in town. It has one saloon / tavern / inn. What is the name of the establishment? And we'll go with Peter. What do you think the name of the establishment is? Or if anyone has a good idea, you can suggest it.
Yeah. Please. I'm
putting you on the spot, and that was a little unfair.
No. It's okay. The salted malt.
Okay.
Someone thought it was a good idea because it rhymed. Didn't think about whether or not the words actually went together.
Okay, I like it. Um, I think that this is where you used to hang out 5 years ago. This is a place known to you.
Right.
Um, by the way, we didn't quite establish who had that diamond, because if Terrence was doing the winning, uh, who is actually like holding that diamond now?
I'm assuming that I have it, but I have lack of interest in it. So
Okay.
I'm holding it right now.
Brian, is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say
Plus,
that.
you got a bunch of cash, so
Yes.
we're gonna say, just make it easy. Like, you had to wrap up really quick. We're gonna say that Doc grabbed all the cash and that Terrence took the diamond, just to make things easy. You ride into town, and we're gonna go around the table again, and we're gonna like one word that describes what kind of ride that was. So, Brian, what was the ride like?
Hot.
Philip, what do you think the ride was like?
Slobbering.
Excellent. Jennifer, what do you think the ride was like?
Tense.
Tense. I think it was very tense. Peter, what do you think the ride was like?
Finicky.
Okay, I like it. So it sounds like it was a super uncomfortable ride.
Yeah.
I think we all agree with that. And
Not sound like fun.
and you're all glad to get into town.
Very.
I think you ride into town, and it's surprising that in 5 years, how much has changed and how little has changed. It's still mostly a one-street town, but you see that a great number of houses have been built up around the northern edge of the town, and you see what surprisingly is a telegraph pole. So the telegraph pole kind of comes the way that you came. In fact, that is the route that you took to get to town. This wasn't here 5 years ago. The telegraph didn't come to here. So they have a way to get word in and out of town. You also see that um, that some engineering work has been done, but they haven't quite laid down tracks yet. But you can see that like a way has been cleared. They're clearly planning to put a train station in at some point. But otherwise, the town is still very much a frontier town in a territory. It's not a state. New Mexico won't be a state till 1912, by the way. So it's decades away from being a something.
And it's a lot bigger.
Yes. Yeah, there's more people here. The four of you ride into town, and you immediately see that some people recognize you. Like they look at you, and some of them kind of like stop what they're doing, just watch as you ride past. Neither friendly or unfriendly, just surprised, maybe, or anticipating something. I would think that based on what you guys have, the fiction you established before, that you weren't overly friendly in this town, but you certainly didn't do anything to be driven out of town. So the reception is a little unusual. And you ride towards the Salt and Malt, which is very close to the edge of town, and you hit your horses, and you are here, so to speak. You made it here, and you've barely tolerated each other for the last hour and a half. And you're hot, and Amy's stuff has been gone through, and Terrence has a huge diamond in his pocket. You wander into the saloon. You hear the strains of a piano music being played. 24 eyes look up from their drinks, their afternoon drinks at you. I think some of them recognize you. They at least one of them looks nervous. Who owns the Salt and Malt? Let's have a volunteer for a name. No, I'll do it. You guys have been doing plenty of fiction. We're gonna say Josiah owns the Josiah Smith owns the Salt and Malt. He does recognize you. You guys were good paying customers. Says, "Wow, I haven't seen you folks in years.
Mm-hmm.
Back in town. Oh, you're back in town because of McGillicuddy." And I think more people are nervous. They haven't quite gotten back to their routine of drinking and talking. They're watching and seeing this happens. Well, don't be strangers. Your money's always good here. What do you have?
You have whiskey and whiskey. So, whiskey.
Good news. We have whiskey. And he takes 4 glasses and puts it in front of you 4.
Oh, thank God.
The rest of the room is slowly resuming back to the conversation. These are mostly ranchers out here. Like I said, there was a mining interest, but you never paid much attention to it. These are all local ranchers, and they do view you as outsiders. You don't live here, despite your familiarity with it. Josiah pours the whiskey. He says, "So you'll be staying a while here for the funeral."
Make sure it goes off without a hitch.
Well, he's to be honest, he's been put down a while. I guess they've been waiting for you to get here to, put the old man in the ground.
How patient of them.
I didn't think he was anything special to you folks.
I'm sure we've all got our reasons. I don't speak for anyone else, but I've got mine.
Well, I imagine the sheriff or the mayor is going to be by any minute now. Maybe want to talk to you. Maybe want to take possession of your guns. We are a lawful town, a lawful good town.
Well, I'm sure that someone has to keep the law and the good, or else it kind of all falls to shit.
Glad you think that way. Edward, right? Well,
Dawson.
His name is Dawson.
Glad you think that way, Dawson. We are law-abiding folks here. It's a pity what happened to Mr. McGillicuddy. But, if you don't follow the law, the sheriff's the law.
I follow the law. I just want to make sure that they are, in fact, one and the same.
Okay. Doc, I think you noticed that one of the occupants of the tavern has kind of slipped out the door, hoping to not be seen. But he moves very quickly down the street. He's doing this mid-sip.
Is there a good vantage point where he could watch where he goes, like without going outside?
Sure, you could casually move towards the end of the bar and look out the window.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that I don't think there's a role involved in this, although you can do a study, which is when you study something, blah, blah, blah. That's a basic move. If you want to do that, feel free.
Yeah.
I will say while that's happening, the minute that Doc moves, I'm following him out of the corner of my eye, just because, personal reasons, but also because I know Doc's got a good eye, and I'm kind of wondering if there's something I missed.
You have an entanglement with the Doc?
I do have an entanglement with the Doc. I do.
What's the entanglement?
Oh,
Good one.
I'm in love with him, but but I overlooked it, and now I'm faced with, well, I still have those feelings, but now he's hopeless for Lily McFadden, and I'm just,
Yeah,
me.
yeah, I agree. And he is, he is quite dashing. So,
Certainly.
okay. So, Brian, why don't you make that roll for study, if that's what you want to do?
Yep. So I got a 9. You just roll straight, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Yep.
So on a 9, why don't you tell us what happens?
7, game 1.
You get, I think, 1 hold, and you get
Yep.
to ask 1. So learn a person's scale is one of the things in this game is that all opponents have a relative scale to you. So the person you dueled in the cab was obviously the same scale as you, but they could be lower or above you, in which case different fighting rules apply. So one of the things you can do.
It's.
Go ahead.
It seems like ask a question about a person, like basically what intention or whatever of the
Okay.
person.
All right. So that's great. I'll describe that in a moment. But you could also reveal the detail, which you come up with the detail. Like, for example, you say, if you wanted, for example, him to steal your horses, you could say, you look out the window and sure enough, he's stealing the ugliest horse in town. You could have done that there. But we're going to go with ask a question about a person. You look and you see that he is talking to kind of a mean-looking son of a bitch. Maybe a little bit down the street. The person kind of narrows his eyes and looks towards the salt and malt. He raises hands to his lips to whistle, and 6 other men come out of a nearby stable and are looking very, very angry and set in their ways. And they start walking slowly towards the salt and malt.
So I'll walk back to our fine little group and kind of more like quietly, like probably a little more than a whisper because I don't know how close we are, but that I think trouble might be heading our way. And then loudly I say, it's a really hot day. I think maybe everyone could use some whiskey.
Are you going to buy a round for everyone?
I'll buy a round for everyone.
I love it. Okay, this is also another move. When you pressure someone susceptible to your words, say what you're trying to get them to do and roll. So you are clearly trying to influence the crowd around the bar.
I definitely am.
Tell me what you want them to do, and we're going to roll some dice.
I mean, I basically want them, should trouble break out, for them to be on our side.
Or
okay.
nobody's side.
Sure. Or just, excited, right?
Yeah.
Having a good time.
Okay, so you get to roll 2 dice. For NPCs, I don't think there's any modification you have. Anyone can help you if they burn a bond. So, anyone have a bond with you? I think you should just roll straight up. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. All right.
What could possibly go wrong?
You can roll a 4 on your quacking dice.
Nope.
Dude,
Got ourselves an 8.
Okay, so on an 8, get back to here real quick. On an 8, you get to choose one of those 4 things. And it's not going to be reveal themselves. It's going to be on an 8. They do exactly what you say. You buy them a round of booze, and everyone is say, "Wow, these thank you, sir. Doc, you say your name was. Glad to see you in town." So they're suddenly more amiable than they were when you got in. So mission accomplished there. But in addition to that, you get to choose one of those 4 things. And some of them are quite good in this upcoming situation.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like I'm gonna choose alienate towards the. Do I choose a specific person?
Well, you could suggest like, here's an idea. You could say, hey, some strange men were following us when we got into town, and I'm not, things might come out sketchy. I'm glad I'm with some friends. Yeah, that's one way of doing it.
Yeah, that covers the larger group.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Heard
think,
about trouble in this area?
well, Josiah kind of looks at Terrence and Amy and says, I don't want any trouble in my bar. I'm fine if you buy everyone a round of drinks, but I don't want any trouble.
Me either. It's hard to play a game when there's trouble going on.
I look over. Who do you think is going to make trouble?
I think that is the exact moment when the doors swing open and 7 seedy-looking types kind of appear in and say, "We don't like out-of-towners here. Not when there's a crisis."
I turn around and I immediately say, Josiah said that there is to be no trouble in this bar.
They say, well, we're going to have to clean you up, take care of business ourselves. Sheriff will know what to do with you.
I think I'm going to step in at this point, and just say, now really, just because we're out of town, that doesn't mean a thing. We're just here to keep things level, so let's not level the town while we're at it. And I am very much using my master move,
Okay.
where I attempt to stop a conflict with an NPC. Roll on 10 plus, you cool tempers. On a 7 to 9, you have a moment to negotiate. You must offer the aggressors something they want, or they will press their assault. On a miss, you draw their ire to you.
This is a great move. I'm glad he did it. So let's see some dice.
Alrighty. Dawson. That's a 7.
That's a 7. Okay, so what happens on a 7?
On a 7 to 9, you have a moment to negotiate. You must offer the aggressors something they want, or they will press their assault.
All right, so the CD types that says, we just want to, you got to follow our laws when you're in town. Why don't you give us your guns?
What exactly is the wording of said law? Because I just want to be clear so that we don't end up accidentally breaking another one.
Oh, we'll just take these into custody, drop them off with the sheriff. Sheriff will return them when you leave town.
That's perfectly understandable, but we could drop these off with the sheriff ourselves and make sure that they get to the proper authority.
Yeah, you got to give them something you want if you want to fulfill the rest of that move.
Right,
so if you want to, but you don't have to. You can sit. You bide some time. So
yeah.
Amy and Terrence, you guys are kind of watching, Mr. Freed do his thing. What do you guys do? Are you ready to throw down?
I'm considering giving them my guns one bullet at a time.
Yeah. No, I think as a player, I'm stalling. I'm allowing other people to step in and just start firing so that I can at least go, I tried.
All right, well, let's hear from Amy. I think Amy might be deciding how this one goes down. So, Amy, what do you think?
I think while they're focused on Dawson, I quietly step off to the side, pull my coat back behind my holsters, and just kind of get ready for violence.
All right, so you do think it's going to be a throwdown? Okay.
Yeah, because these people, none of them are wearing badges. They're just people.
Okay, Josiah looks panicky and says, n- gentlemen, we can't do this. I mean, there's already been one death.
It's true. It's true. You know. All right. You know what? You make a valid point. I'll go ahead. And I'll give you my gun.
Wow.
And then I draw it and I shoot him.
Excellent. Okay. This is a move, my friend. This is a deal with troops. When you fight a group of foes who are collectively below your scale, roll with plus style element.
Okay. Finally a +2. Okay. Please, please, please. That's a 7.
Okay. Well, that's a 7 is still a success. So,
yeah.
So describe how you do it on a miss. On a 10 plus, you do it easily, so that's just a straight win. On a miss, you choose blah blah blah. So it's a little unclear here. We're going to say on a 7 to 9. That is a really unclear way of how they discuss this move.
Are you looking at deal with troops?
Yes.
Yeah. It doesn't actually explicitly say what happens on a 7 to 9.
Okay, well, what do you think happens on a 7 to 9? Man, that is such a punt, and like I'm just wussing out on that. We're gonna say that.
No. That I mean, okay. You say what you want.
We're gonna say on a hit, you definitely defeat them, so you definitely disperse them. So
that's fine. I think the easy, like it doesn't come easy, so it isn't over quickly. There's enough time for, I think, anyone else who wants to get in on that to feel free, jump in and fire at will.
Okay.
I've named the other guy. His name is Will.
Punting is not a bad way of looking at it, which is to say the fight continues. It wasn't decisive for either party.
I agree. That is a very good way.
Yeah.
On a hit, though, we're going to say you have to have something. So we're going to give you a greater position. So
Okay.
I think that that as soon as you open fire, you might even drop one of them, and half their number just goes straight for the door, right? Because on a hit, you have to get a win. You did roll a 7.
Mm-hmm.
So, so you have a couple ways to end this, of course. Now you can still deal with them. You could do any other moves that you think might beat them, or you could just persuade them to get the fuck out of there. Terrence, you haven't actually done a move in a little bit.
What I want to do is actually I want to put myself between Miss Quackenbush and the evil gang, and basically say, "Ma'am, I'll protect you."
All right, Amy. Terrence is putting you in inner conflict territory.
What? I'm not comforting her.
Lady, everything will be fine.
I think that's up to Jennifer. How do you interpret that? I mean, that'll tell us how we're.
And think about it in the 1870s context, not like now, because now I would shoot myself.
Yeah, but I mean, it's really it's player choice, man. So my interpretation of it is that, oh man, there's so many ways to deal with that. It's such a loaded entanglement.
It's a crazy loaded, yeah. I don't think I'm conflicted again.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna let him
support you.
Protect me.
Okay. So why don't you roll a support roll, Terrence?
So that would be for support, right?
Sure, comfort or support.
Okay, let's see. So I guess it's. Do I choose an element, or do I just draw? Am I just rolling straight?
Just roll straight up.
Okay. 3.
Wow. Okay. It does not go well. I guess that was the part of the thing.
As I step on your foot with my boots.
All right, Amy. How do you react? Clearly, he is not doing this the way. No, you tell me. I don't put any words in your mouth on this one.
He's clearly very clumsy. But my whole thing is that nobody knows I'm really dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, even though he's clearly not helping me at all.
Well, I mean, obviously, you're gonna not take it kindly. I would think. That's a pretty bad
Right,
roll.
but I'm not gonna react overtly. I'm just gonna like mumble some kind of thanks,
I see. Okay, I like it.
and then kind of just continue pretending to be a regular.
Well, a fight is breaking out, so you can only be regular. Especially, you also showed your guns. So, how regular can you be after you showed your guns?
Yeah, but I have guns, but I clearly don't know how to use them.
I see.
And if she's standing behind me, she can sort of make it look like somebody else is shooting.
I see. Okay.
Right.
Well, we will have to sort out the relationship later. I kind of want to get to we're 11:30, so I want to kind of get moving on this. So,
can I have my horse kick one of the guys?
Your horse is outside. Let's give
Yeah,
Doc
but
a
it's
move.
smart. Okay.
Let's give. Actually, I should take a move because that is a straight up miss. I think that a figure appears in the doorway, and a man's voice says, "What the hell is going on here?" And you all look up, and it's the sheriff, Sheriff McFadden. You haven't seen in 5 years.
Oh, thank God! It's the sheriff.
So that is my move. We are gonna stop here because we're gonna play more tomorrow. There are some end of session moves that happen, so I wanted to make sure we did those before we continue. So we go to other moves, I believe. I think it's other moves. And is it other moves? It has been a while since I actually used this sheet. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to have to review our other moves later. So at the start of tomorrow, we'll do the upkeep from this one. But basically, we check our entanglements. Actually, this might be on the character sheets.
I think I found it. It's in other moves under advancement.
Okay.
Like the second line is, at the end of a session, if you significantly interact with your highlighted entanglement, mark 2 XP. If you interact with your other entanglement, you may mark 1 XP.
Okay.
Were we supposed to have a highlighted entanglement?
Yes, we were, and I think obviously we didn't do it because it's been a while since I ran this.
That's okay.
So we're going to assume that let's go with this question, and we'll go in order on my screen. Brian, did you interact with your highlight with any of your entanglements?
Not really, like other than encountering Amy, but I would say not really.
Okay, so you want to get any, which is fine. Philip, did Terrence? I think Terrence definitely interacted with an entanglement for sure.
Yep. The one with Dawson, the Doc Jonah and I, that wasn't really an entanglement conversation because we didn't mention Lily at all.
Okay, so don't mark any XP. We're just going to have this discussion because what's going to happen at the start of the next session is everyone's going to get an advancement because this is a limited run. So we're not going to worry about this. Jennifer, though, did you have interaction with your highlighted entanglement or with any entanglement? Yeah, I think so. I think
Yeah.
that you and Terrence have something going on. What about you, Dawson? You
I
kind of
mean,
skirted around with it a little bit.
well, so I think in a way I did kind of interact with both. With Doc, I feel like I skirted more around that, but the one that kind of like whether I wanted it to or not
Yes.
happened was just Terrence's comment. Like upon even seeing me, I was ready to just go, I'm willing to put this entanglement to the side. And he went, well, at least one of the Freed brothers. And I went, I'm willing to take this entanglement front and center. Sure. All right. Guess I'm changing course. So yeah, that ended up being sort of the highlight for me. And that was interaction.
Okay, great. So that kind of takes us to the end of this first session. I'm going to stop the recording and we'll have a few more minutes to talk. So stopping the recording.